We are in full swing of foaling season right now. It's snowy outside. It's literally a winter wonderland. And I really did think that this weather was gonna bring our second foal of the season, and it just didn't. So we're gonna do an update on Kennedy, who's still pregnant, on Ginger and Ethel, who just hit 310 days, and on Annie, who is just now at 300 days. So let's start with Kennedy. You're posing so pretty for us. Why is this rock in here? Are we gonna be sweet? So Kennedy has gotten a lot sweeter over the last few days. We have been like awake every night waiting on this baby because she's been giving all the signs, like dripping white milk, all these things that normally a mare would have had her baby by now with those signs. I'm very thankful that she's waited till 322 days. That is still like on the early side of being in the safe window, but she's been having issues her entire last part of her pregnancy. Starting around day 290, she started having like mastitis symptoms. We had to treat that. And then she was just really giving signs that she was gonna foal early, but thankfully she has kept this baby cooking. So I'm at the point now where I would like for her to have it because we've not slept for like 2 weeks, but you know, mares will be mares. That's just foaling season for you. So let's take a look at her stomach, her udder, her hip, her tail. She does have a foal alert in. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. With that, it means that we'll get a call if the baby's being born. So that does help a little bit. It's like a little safety net if I fall asleep. But let's go ahead and take a look at her belly. She's not gonna stand here unless I sit here and scratch her head. So you can take a look at how much lower her stomach is and how it's really getting low in the middle of her stomach. I am gonna see if she'll stand here for me to go to her booty. This is so weird for her, okay? She's being so lovey right now, and that's not Kennedy. Kennedy is usually like too cool for anybody. So that's actually a behavioral change that I have seen with mares before. When they do get really lovey, they're getting close to foaling. They like want that attention. Can I go look at your butt, please? And then back here, I call it the Dorito hip, where it's like a triangle because she's getting so flat up here. So she's getting, it's like a waterbed. I don't know if you can inch up here or not, but literally, please don't kick me, Kennedy. Stuff's passing by right now. But it's like a waterbed. She is so soft. Her tail has a lot less resistance. Oh my gosh. You saw it last night, Matt. It was like still so firm. That's a lot less resistance. Her coochie is very like filled out and no lines to it. I'm saying I think we're having a baby soon. I really do, because her udder, it's even fuller tonight somehow. See if you can sneak over here without her leaving. If I try to milk her, she's probably gonna leave. But like her milk has been white. Her pH level did drop last night. Not to the point of like, oh, it's happening tonight, but it dropped lower than it has been. So let's just see if she'll let me look at her color. That's pretty dang white. I don't know if you can see that. That's pretty dang white, Kennedy. But like I said, at this point, she's already been dripping white milk. Like, foaling season always proves that you just don't know everything, and a mare's gonna throw some zingers in there, because in my experience, if a mare drips white milk, you're having a baby like that night. No questions asked. And so she's the first one that's done that, and I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know everything. So anyway, that's Kennedy. That's the one. We're gonna have to put this video up fast because I really think we're gonna have a baby soon. Let's go look at Ginger. Ginger! We're trying to get Ginger to stand still. She's being a hussy. She saw another man walk in. She's like, I've gotta go talk to him. She's so all about the men today for some reason. But Ginger, we'll walk over there in a second. She'll probably come back. She's 310 days pregnant today. So 310 days is that point where we kind of like classify the foal as viable. But again, we want it to reach at least 320. We did have a foal this year born at 319 and she was totally fine. But just saying, we want it to cook longer. Ginger, her mom and her both have their babies in the mid 320s. So her first and only baby, this will be her second, was born at 325. So I would not be shocked if we have a baby from her in 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and look at her because her belly is a lot lower. Just turn around. She's posing. Ginger, don't make me a liar. Her belly's so much lower, so much bigger. Her hip is so much flatter on the top. She actually has a really big udder comparatively to some of my other mares. I will say, like, because I've been checking on her, her hip is so much jigglier, but not quite as jiggly as like Kennedy. But she's very, very loose here. Her tail, you'll see a difference in Kennedy. She's got resistance, and she's like, will not go past that, which that's still not a lot of resistance. There's some mares that I literally can't pick it up past that. So she's loosening up in like every aspect. And you can tell a difference too, because her udder is a little more elongated in those teats. That's because she's already had a baby. Some of the mares that haven't had a baby, which Earlene was our only one to really look at, they won't look like that until after they've had one nursing. So Ethel's a day behind Ginger. She's at 309 days today. We're trying to just kind of condense everything into one video though. So instead of doing her and Annie tomorrow, we're just doing it today. So she's at 309. So she, again, has had her foals in those like later 320s days. So this will be her 5th foal. If I remember correctly, all of them have been between 325 and 330. So with that being said, we could have a foal in like 3 weeks. So let's look at her belly. It's a little bit bigger than Ginger's and Kennedy's. That's a little bit to the fact that this is her 5th baby, right? Because Weatherman Katie talking about the storm a brewing in here. So she has had 5 babies. Her uterus is a lot more stretched out. And even before she, became a mom, she was just one of those like easy keepers. She just kind of keeps weight easy. So, that's just something to consider why she's a little bit bigger. She is actually a recip. So what's funny is the mare you just watched, Ginger, the baby in here is a full sibling to Ginger, which is going to be really cool. It's VS Code Red and Ginger's mom, Beyonce. So this is what her belly looks like. Her hip, you can see, I think she's a lot fuller in her hip than Ginger is. Like, I don't think she's really sunk down in it. Like, she maybe has a little bit right here, but she's jiggly, but she's kept that fullness. She hasn't really lost much mass up top. But also, I have noticed mares that have had multiple foals like she has, they just stay a little jigglier. And I think I've had a lot of women say they can relate to that. So it's kind of funny. Again, too, with her tail, a lot more less resistant. And then if you want to see a horse coochie so that you know what I'm talking about, the coochie, the vulva, for being like real with it, when they're really like wrinkly and drawn up, that usually means they're not really close. Not to say that's like a foolproof thing, but Kennedy today, Kennedy's vulva looked like this a few days ago. I'll show you, where it's still very, very wrinkled, very short, very kind of drawn up. Whereas today, Kennedy's is like elongated. It's very full looking. There's no wrinkles to it. So that's something to watch as well. And then you can see her udder is even smaller than Ginger's. She's still like building one, but just knowing her specifically, she never gets a really huge udder. So I just know her personally. That's a really important thing to do when you have multiple mares, is don't put them all into a box that they all have to check the same boxes, right? Like, I know she doesn't get a huge udder, and I know she doesn't usually wax. So, and last but not least for this video at least, really it's just halfway through this foaling season, which is crazy. After her, there's like 3 more. But this is Annie. Annie was bred and raised here. Love her to death. This will be her 2nd foal. And she is bred to Cool Ladies Man, which is a younger kind of up and coming stallion. I'm going to breed her to my young stallion this coming year. But she's just now at day 300. So we want her to go at least 3 more weeks. But with Annie, it's kind of the opposite of my other mares. She went 5 days overdue last time. She had a colt her first time, and she's been very similar acting this year, so I think it's another colt. That's just my prediction. She's being really agitated towards just like me loving on her, touching on her, grooming on her. Like, she is over this. She is kind of a crabby pants, and so I'm gonna see if she'll let me show you her firmness. But back here, she's getting a little softer in her hip, but she's a lot firmer than my other mares are. You can see she's got a little jiggle, but not near what the others do. She's honestly shown her crabbiness today, and so I will not be standing behind her picking up her tail just because I value my life. but you can get a little view of her udder from underneath here because it's starting to develop, and she only has had one foal, which was actually in 2022, so 3 years ago. So she doesn't have quite as big of an udder as some other mares might, but it's definitely starting to develop, which we love to see. Why do you have to do this? You are like my soulmate, and you make people think you're mean. We don't have to do that, okay? When I tell you I love this horse so much, literally my soul sister, but she looks evil. And sometimes you act it. It's true, but love her to death. And seriously, when I tell you she is the like safest horse to put somebody on, like my best friend's little girl was 7 years old and rode her in a horse show while she was 7 months pregnant this year. Was the safest thing to put that little girl on. So she's such a dynamic character with her attitude, but it's all just a front, kind of. Sometimes she acts through with it, but you know. Anyway, that's the 4 mares that we are like watching right now, and then after that, we still have 3 more, which is crazy. So let me know if you have any questions. Stay tuned, because I do think we'll have our second foal of the year very soon, and not too far after that, we'll have 3, 4, and 5. So let me know if you have any questions. Stay tuned for more updates.